notte giorno di torno girando, delle vele turbando al riposo, Narcisetto a Tocino d'amor. Delle vele turbando al riposo, Narcisetto a Tocino d'amor.
Welcome, college football fans, to another weekly installment of
Your Team Sucks Donkey Balls
with Dr. Balls.
What's going on? What's up, guys?
Hello.
What's up? You having plenty of fun, excitement.
I mean, that was kind of weird. I actually added y'all to the podcast, and I looked back down, and y'all were gone. I had to add you back. That was Streamlabs fucking with me, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It's playing games.
Yeah, playing goinks.
Acting a fool. It'll be all right, though. You know why? Because they suck.
Because we don't suck donkey balls as much as the guys that are behind these fucking doors. That's why.
That's right. That's right. That's why I'm excited, so we can all know it's a horror show for some of these guys. They might even be dead men walking, Doug.
It could happen. And I'm going to open this first door at some point, and this first door is so that we don't have fucking 15 doors on this motherfucker, right?
Which we could have.
That's the problem. It's like Ed said, this could be a 2-hour special. Ain't nobody got time for that shit, do they? Nobody. Oh, shit. All right, when y'all want me to open this first door?
Let's do it.
These brothers of us lay. Yes, these motherfuckers lay.
Fuck them. We don't want to talk about them. It's getting boring as fuck.
I mean, what can you say?
I mean, these are all guys that could have been on the show this week. They could have been behind one of these doors. And instead we had to cram, like, how many was there? 4? We had to cram 4 of them back there.
It's going to be a very active off season for coaches, man. I mean, there's a lot of people can fucking change directions, programs, the whole 9 yards. And a lot of these guys is going to lose jobs. If you're another program, you're like, well, I don't know that I want him, so hallelujah, good luck to him is all I can say.
So yeah, I just want to say that there's other coaches that are really damn close to jumping on this in this door here. That we basically say you're not worth talking about because we're talking about you too much and it's becoming boring, right?
I agree with you, Doug, 100%. Because we already know that they just plain suck. So we want the excitement of other people's failure, right? To see if they can reach the limits and of that kind of failure.
I started to throw Stoops in there too, and he may end up there next week, depending on what happens. I'm not convinced that Kentucky's going to fire Stoops.
I don't think they will either.
And that's really got nothing to do with this door, to be honest. This door is just for people that have been here too many times, and Stoops really hasn't been here a lot. Stoops has really overachieved this season when you consider that they almost beat Georgia and they went on the road and beat Ole Miss. Now, I don't know what the fuck happened at Florida. Tell us, Bob.
Well, it looked to me like they just made stupid mistakes one after another and penalties and lined up wrong and blown coverage. They just made mistakes one after another and caused themselves to lose the game. Now, Florida was solid, but they didn't beat Kentucky. Kentucky beat themselves. Did any other guys watch that game?
I've seen highlights of it.
So
I watched a little of it, not a whole heck of a lot.
So basically what happened was every time that Kentucky had them stopped, they made some kind of stupid 15-yard penalty. It's kind of reminiscent of Alabama at the end of their game.
A lot like Washington also.
So how's Fish doing over there? We know he made the donkey balls 1 week, and we did that for you because he really is coming into a fucked up situation.
Well, yeah. I mean, when you lose 53 scholarship athletes and then you have to regroup and put it all back together again, that's a tall order.
And you know,
But
me and my wife was talking about this. You know, DeBoer coming from Washington, and he was over at Washington where he wasn't expected to do anything, and he actually done phenomenal. He just walked into a whole nother situation at Alabama. It's different when you come into a situation where you're expected to win out of the gate.
what I will say in DeBoer's defense is he doesn't have the same staff he had here at Washington, and
No, we
those
don't.
people were very integral. You got Ryan Grubb, who's in the NFL with the Seahawks. You got Scott Huff, who's with the Seahawks also. You know, those are two big people that were fitting the puzzle that aren't there. And then the year before that, Kokwowski, who was the defensive coordinator, he left, went to Texas. So, you know, it had huge things what he can bring to Bama. So he had to go with the staff that was there at Bama, right, wrong, or indifferent. So, you know, to some degree, I can't lay the whole thing at his feet.
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, anytime a coach takes over a program, even a normal program, and I'm not even talking about taking over for Nick Saban, you times that times 5 at least,
Yeah.
the Saban factor, but just taking over for another coach, sometimes it works out. You can get a groove going with the guys, and sometimes what you bring to the table does not groove with what's there, and it takes a season or two to get that shit
Okay.
running right.
I think there's one thing also key in this whole issue is I hate to bring it up is the transfer portal, man. It has changed the face of college football, and really have to take stock of that. We can no longer go along and say everything's hunky dory and the same 8 and 10 teams are going to be there at the end of for the CFP. We can't. You got
Bruce,
Vanderbilt, you got teams like Army and Navy.
Bruce is working for Clemson. If Dane was here, he would tell you.
So they didn't make it because I was wondering who was doing the squirt bottle in the background.
You heard it?
Yeah, there's with the squirt bottle, man. It was like
Yeah.
it was clean.
I heard the
Cleaning the
squirt bottle.
windshield, they had Windex going, or maybe their cat was getting on the table.
Yeah, it was water, and there was a cat involved.
Yeah, because that's what I use squirt bottles for. Is if a cat jumps on the table, he gets the squirt with the.
Yeah, my mic is better than I thought it was. Y'all ready for me to open the second door?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. So this is the first real door. That first door was real. It's just we're tired of talking about those guys, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck them.
Bouncing, bouncing, those donkey balls, looking for a place to land. Bouncing, left and bouncing right, looking for a stupid grin. Open your mouth, 'cause here they come.
Speaking of the devil, guys, we're talking about Kalen DeBoer. We was just on them, Bruce. You know, but the thing about it is that he didn't see that what you had to do at Alabama is play defense at an SEC level. I think the style of play in the Pac-12, where you could have scoring shootouts, game in and game out, and all you have to do is make a key stop, might have been too deep on his mind. But that didn't transfer to the SEC, and I think that's DeBoer's main problem. What do you think about that, Bruce?
Yeah, I think the defensive coordinator is definitely lacking. And there again, it's not completely on the defense. I really looked at Milrose this last week. He's a different quarterback than he was in week one.
You're right, Bruce, and I think everything is trickling down from Milroe. He's the leader of this team, and he has no confidence, and I think it's trickling down to everybody.
Yeah, and it's showing. It's
when they hit the field, they don't believe they're going to win right now. You can tell they don't believe they're going to win.
What about
There's a certain hollowness in it. Yeah. I would
What
concur.
about discipline, guys? That's another thing I'm noticing with Alabama. That's why I brought up the 15-yard penalty by the guy that basically lost the game for Alabama and against Tennessee when he had his little fit. And that's just stupid stuff at the end of the game. If you got to know and you got to let go right that minute, whatever you're obsessed with, you got to let it go so you can get off the field and get the ball back. And that lack of discipline was also different than the Saban era. But I'm sure
Was he a younger? Was he a freshman or a
no, he
sophomore?
was a junior, I believe.
Yeah, that can't be allowed. It really can't.
So he just wasn't there wasn't the discipline there that I'd seen in the past, and that's another thing that can get you through in games. But I agree with you, Doug, that Milrow now Shannon Russell's calling him Mildew, but Milrow is not playing strong as he could, and he's playing.
Bob, I've
What's
been
that?
calling him mildew. I've been calling him mildew this week myself.
Oh, really?
He's looks slow. They're not allowing him to get out to the option. They're keeping it all in the backfield.
I don't know what's true, but I'm being told, but I've been told by 3 people up to this point that he hurt his shoulder in the Vanderbilt game. He's trying to hide it, and I don't know if that's the case. If it is, that the board knows that his shoulder's hurt. So my guess is that he still feels more comfortable with Milrow than he does bringing the backup in.
Now, as far as another thing that's interesting is Alabama has won in the past when they had quarterbacks like A.J. McCarron. They've won by possessing the ball and running it however they wanted to, even when they didn't have the quarterback run available to them. And I don't think
That's not what the board does, though.
Right, but he's not able to fall back on that is interesting to me. So if I knew that I could control the clock and I had a little bit of a lead and I could pound the other team into submission, I would try it. Wouldn't you try it every now and then?
I would, but I mean,
Yeah,
I don't
but
know.
I
I don't know what
see-
makes them tick.
I don't see Bama having the defense to do that, to close out in the last quarter and hold teams at bay.
You're right.
I don't see that. So if you're going to, and it's not that they're going to a prevent, it's just like they're in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah, this team is out of sync, and it's probably not abnormal when a new coach comes in for something like this to happen. And he's got his work cut out for him. He's going to earn that $9 million this year, isn't he, Bruce?
The only thing that I could say that when the board came to Washington, the cover was not bare; it was full defensively. So he had a lot of staff. I mean, we had several kids that hadn't even seen the field yet that were stockpiled. But that's not an excuse; it's a fact. He had a good defensive team. That's how we also got to the CFP last year.
Is the stockpile what it's really about, guys? Is the stockpile of players like Alabama used to stockpile 4 or 5 quarterbacks, 4 or 5 running backs, all the offensive and defensive line you ever dreamed. Now with the
Can't
transfer
do that anymore. Can't do it.
Right.
Yeah, but see, most of our kids were 2 and 3 star players, but they developed them. They were very good. They came in and they could do the job.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go to go ahead, Bruce.
The only thing I would say is that 2 years ago, when a lot of those 3 and 4 or 4 or 5 star athletes that were there, Bama left, walked out, 15 of them, I believe, at that time. That's 2 years ago. That's a whole lot of product going out the door, whole lot of beef, and that's hard to replace.
True.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm opening another door. Ready or not?
Bouncing, bouncing, those donkey balls, looking for a place to land. Bouncing left and bouncing right, looking for a stupid grin. Open your mouth and here they come.
Interesting.
Matt
Behind
Rule.
this door, what's up?
Matt Rule.
Yeah, I was going to say that's very interesting. Behind this door, we have Matt Rule. Now,
And this is his second season. This is not supposed to be happening.
He was looking pretty good till he encountered Indiana.
You're right. It was looking very un-Nebraska like, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
I
hell,
thought Nebraska would give them a real tussle, but man, they rolled over like
Yeah, they
belly up.
They beat on themselves, didn't they?
They sure did. Oh man.
they sucked donkey balls to get big 56-7 at home. I mean, it was unbelievable. And they that begs the question: who's going to snipe the coach at Indiana? You know, that begs the question: who's going to snipe the coach at Indiana? You know.
Sorry, did you hear that?
Yeah, that was interesting.
It's not my fault.
Well, the question I have is, well, you had the same thing when Texas A&M routed Missouri. What was it, two weeks ago? Of the team that was supposed to come in and play good football in the Big Ten, and they didn't. They shit the sheets.
Oh yeah, that's true. And A&M actually has a chance. They're in a good position. If they beat Texas the last game of the year, it could have a lot of implications. But in terms of Matt Brule, Nebraska, based on his former success in college, at least, he was able to build a pretty good program in 2 to 3 years, compete in 4 years. So the fact that they just got stopped by Indiana is, you don't know if it's an indication of how great Indiana is or how much Nebraska sucks or both. But one thing we do know, if you get beat 56-7 by Indiana, you suck doggy balls.
So, Bruce, do you know anything about Indiana?
Not a whole lot, other than their quarterback's out this week against us. And
you know more about Iowa, don't you?
Oh yeah. Oh, I know a lot about Iowa.
I don't know how we missed. We really should have had you and Matt Brooks on that week. That would have been priceless.
I thought we would hold our own against them, and they just proved that those big Iowa farm boys can control the line of scrimmage. And
I think you can really tell that these players are not used to traveling this far.
That's another thing that's playing.
It really
in
is
this whole scenario.
And people laugh about it. Like if your team won, then if the other fans for the other team mention that, then you're like, oh fuck that. That don't mean shit. Oh, well, it absolutely means
one weekend and then back and then back to Iowa. It doesn't lend to a very good outcome.
I agree.
It just. But that's the thing with the two big conferences of the Big Ten and SEC. Lucky you boys don't have to travel that much, which is good for you. But look at Cal and Stanford, who's in the ACC, and how much traveling they're going to have to do.
It's been crazy already. Cal's been back and forth across the USA. They should have frequent flyer miles.
And they took Miami to the mat. They
played well all season.
That game.
They've played
I'm impressed with Cal. It's really hard not to be.
Wilcox has always been a very, very steady defensive coach. Yeah. If Bama wanted to poach someone, that would be the man to do. I really have high regard for Mr. Wilcox and what
he's doing it in a place where it's not easy to do anything.
It's not, because it's all academic there at Cal. They can give a rat's ass what they do with their football team.
As long as they keep it clean and stay out of trouble and don't have them in the news for wrong things, they can have football.
That was pretty tough with Marshawn.
There you go.
All right. So let me open another door, and this is a special door. I don't know that this will come to pass, but we like to fuck with somebody every week, a little something extra, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're a dead man walking 'cause they don't want you no more. Your coaching skills are suspect, and your wife's a street walking whore. Oh, bouncing like looking for a stupid friend.
God, I wish Bailey was here with us, guys. The scary
I gotta say this. These songs would have been hits, all of them in the fucking 60s.
Oh yeah, they'd have ruled
Bruce knows I'm correct.
Yeah,
the
they would be.
Hey, I've tried to use
They'd
other
be at
genres.
least number 3 on the chart.
I've tried to use other genres to make these songs, Bruce, but that old 50s, 60s country is the only thing that works for the show.
It really does. But it does give us flavor of the South. In some ways, it does.
It does.
Oh
Which
my
I
goodness!
enjoy.
So
All right. So, yeah, I mean, I can't swear that Venables will be fired this year, but it wouldn't fucking shock me. I'm going to just say it because
what could he
things
do?
are not looking good at Oklahoma.
Well,
What could
this
he
is
do?
his 3rd year, right?
No, it's the second year, I believe.
2nd year? I thought it
Well,
was.
let me look him up. Let me look him up. If you're right, then we may be much closer to this than I thought, Bruce. Let me look him up.
See, he's a dead man walking, Bruce. You know, we were discussing Iron
Well,
Maiden.
they hired him for his so-called defensive prowess.
Well, that's going better. I mean, Oklahoma's got a better defense than we've seen. It don't mean anything, does it?
No, it doesn't.
All right, so this is Bruce. Oh shit, Bruce. You're correct, Bruce.
So
This is it. This is his 3rd season.
3rd year.
But can I regress a little bit?
You can.
Rumors are that the coach at USC that came from Wazoo, that coached at Oklahoma, was visiting Mr. DeBoer in Tuscaloosa.
Don't get me excited, Bruce.
No, you don't want him.
Do I not? Tell me about it.
I'm talking about the USC coach that got fired last year.
Who we talking about?
God, I'm trying to think.
Sorry, was he the offensive coordinator?
He was the defensive coordinator for USC.
Oh, Grinch! Alex Grinch is coming to Alabama.
Yes, Alex.
No.
That was the rumor. Yes.
That's not good. That's not good.
No, it's not good. I saw that, and my instant reaction was, "Oh no, it can't be."
Okay, so Venables, he went 10-3 last year. The year before that, 2022, he went 6-7. I would say the way things look right now, if he does something like 6-7 this year, I think he's fired. I do.
Yeah, he's gone. Hallowed be thy name, brother. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I just don't see how Oklahoma, they consider, everybody considers them blue blood. They truly are one of the greatest programs in history, even if you don't like them, and they come into the SEC and they're not exactly making a splash. But I do kind of get a little jollies out of that. All the shit that was talked about Oklahoma would do this or that if they were in the SEC, and then they come in and they're losing to South Carolina and they're getting crushed utterly. They can't score. They're paralyzed in every way. Think about this, Doug. DeBoer could.
I know where you're going, Bob.
No, he could hire Brett Venables as the defensive coordinator, and Lincoln Riley as the offensive coordinator.
I think Lincoln will survive the year at USC. I believe.
Maybe.
I can't see it.
Really?
I don't see. I can see him easily getting fired. Really. I mean, it's been that bad. You don't, especially USC and the cowbell of teams that, in the Pac-12 when they were here for all these years, and now they look just like garbage.
Bruce, are you throwing Lincoln Riley's hat into the ring for next week's Dead Man Walking Door?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I just, and I know poor Gibby, he's petrified, but
Mike Gibbs, he's losing his ever loving mind, but I think he agrees with you, though.
I think he wants him out. I think he wants Riley out.
They had such high hopes, but it's such anemic football that I've seen. The best game, one of the best games I must say I've seen this season was the Penn State USC game. It went back and forth right down to the very end.
I think Bailey will be happy about Riley getting the axe if that happens.
Oh, yeah. Now, what about Tiggy Domes? Has anybody heard from him lately?
I haven't heard from Tiggy for a good year and a half.
I invited him to watch. What's that?
He used to come on the podcast, but this is a funny story, and I got to tell it real quick, Bruce. Landon hits me up one day and he says, "Okay, so check this guy out in a video." And I watched this video, and it's some guy he's trolling Georgia, and it's an older guy though. But anyway, yes. And he says, "Now picture this guy doing the Tiggy voice," and I did, and I was like, "Yeah, I mean, I guess it's possible." He said, "I think it's more than possible." He said, "Listen really close." Well, I thought,
actually,
it kind of.
Tiggy's really young. He's only probably maybe around 24.
Well, that's what he said. But when I hit Tiggy up and I said, "Dude, is this you?" He got real serious on me. And he was like, no, man, this guy's like a lot older than me. I barely know him. And he just got really weird, and he has not come on the podcast since.
Huh.
So I'm wondering, is it possible that Tiggy's older than you think?
Well,
what do you know, Bruce?
Last time I talked to him, he was going to school at the UW. And that's the last thing I heard from him.
So I give a little credence to the possibility that he's an older guy than what he says that he is.
He could be. He could
and sorry, Landon helped us hit a sore spot. And he will not come back on the podcast because he thinks we're going to expose him. Because he
was good at trolling people.
He was.
God, he was.
And all he fucking needs is some fucking podcast to throw his picture up everywhere, right?
Uh-huh.
So this is Tiggy. But you know what? If he would hit me up privately, there's no way I would do that.
He's a nice guy. He's a nice kid. He really is.
The truth is, I don't even know where the video
if he's
is.
a young kid.
If it's an older guy, it's a nice older guy, right?
Yeah.
We'd very much like for him to join us again on the show, so we're gonna have to do it. Now, I invited him to watch the show last week. I just went through my friends list to invite on everybody. I know I pissed a lot of my family off probably, but and I just kept hitting the invite going all the way down the line, and I have like 5 different versions of him in my friends list.
He got real quiet after Gonzaga got booted from the finals.
That's the last stuff that he and I had. That's the last time that he and I spoke online.
Yeah, he got real. I mean, he went silent.
And plus,
we had a really good segment one time, Bob. It was Tiggy and you. You remember that on Dr.
Yes,
Bob?
I did. Absolutely. I was going to mention that, and Sean was on there too, and he was going on about Gonzaga this and Gonzaga that, and I told him that that Gonzaga wasn't even has-beens; they were never was, and he didn't really like.
Sean's a big Gonzaga fan. He really.
Well, I mean, I'm not against him. I mean, I think it's great that college basketball teams can rise up out of the blue that you never expected and make an enduring program. I think it's a great coaching job on his part, and I think it's great on his part that they've joined the new Pac-12 or whatever it's going to be.
Yep, that's in the works right now. I don't know if they're going to field a football team though. I really can't say. I haven't heard.
Well, I mean, let's just get historic on that for a minute since we're here on the show, and it is a football show. Now, this has been done before in the Big East at Temple.
Yeah,
right?
Temple had a baseball and a basketball team.
So
good team too.
He had a damn good basketball program, and they invented.
Yeah, that was Bill Cosby's old school.
Absolutely, the Fighting Bill Cosby's.
So they were in Philadelphia. They basically made a Division I football team out of nothing to compete in the Big East, and it was decent for a little while, but they never really done nothing. But they theoretically could have if they could have recruited Philadelphia area, they'd have been rocking because Philadelphia's huge, man. It goes plumb over to New Jersey and Delaware, Dover, Delaware. I mean, you could have made a massive program, and they had their chance to do it. But historically, I think it's the last time I've seen somebody create a Division I football program out of nothing.
I really enjoyed their basketball program for the years that when I was younger. I did enjoy their basketball teams. They're really good. I would put them up with Niagara and all them. It was
Well, they were Big Five. If you remember, they had the Big Five. Then they played different Big Five matchups at the Palestra, and so that's that St. Mary's on and on. That there was just some great games in those matchups, and so we love that. But that's what Gonzaga can bring to a new Pac-12 is Gonzaga can bring that kind of excitement, and they've got some old school West Coast matchups that they
I'm
do.
getting
Even
excited for the Pac-12. I really am. Although the majority of the teams going to be state schools, but still, I'm excited to see it salvage itself because it wasn't all they're making.
Now, does Gonzaga have the
Bruce,
money?
you'll be pulling against Washington State in all those games, won't you?
Fuck Washington State. Excuse my language. I'm sorry.
No, it's fuck your team on Smacking Off the podcast. If you want to say
there's two teams in the Northwest, and I'll never root for. So I'll make no apologies on that.
You do love the Oregon Ducks, though, don't you?
I'm going to keep it civil.
Let's open this last door, guys. And we may not get another chance to fuck with this guy all year, but I had to throw him at the top for obvious reasons. Let's do it.
Bouncing, bouncing, those donkey balls, looking for a place to land. Bouncing left and bouncing right, looking for a stupid grin. Open your mouth, 'cause here they come.
Sarcasm makes an initial appearance to suck donkey balls on our show, guys. And, for me, it's not about that Texas sucks so much. It's about the fact that their fans are so fucking insufferable, right? After hear, you know what I'm saying? On and on.
But this is the biggest. This is the biggest stage at home, and they didn't show up early, and that's. I mean, you got to do this if you're going to do this championship thing, and you're gonna dominate. You got to do it.
If you're number one, you got to show up, and Georgia didn't let him into the door.
Well, they
the door in the first quarter, and it was all over with.
Here's an interesting one, guys. That Texas travels to Nashville this week to take on the Vanderbilt Commodores. Wouldn't that be some shit if Chris Scully? Now, Chris Scully's been preaching this for a couple weeks now. He swears that Vanderbilt's going to upset Texas, get their second upset over their second number one team of the season. I don't see it happening, but it's an interesting concept.
If those running backs did what they did against Bama, I could see it happening.
I don't know. If it does, I'll feel a little bit better about Bama. I have a feeling that it was more about Bama, but we'll see because this team beat Kentucky the following week, so they definitely look for real. Now they lost some games early they shouldn't have lost, but this team wins out. We may have a discussion about Vanderbilt popping up into the top 12. Wouldn't that be some interesting stuff?
Oh, it'd be magical. So, and as far as them beating Texas, that would be even more magical because of all the insufferable fans, Texas fans, and they're going to do this and that in the SEC to come in their first year while they're ranked in the top 5 or 6 and to lose to Vanderbilt. It'd be off the hook. Well, and for Vanderbilt to go to that, so imagine this playoff with Vanderbilt and Army in it.
And Notre Dame.
And Notre Dame. For both you and Doug and Bob. Can you remember as many really big upsets this early in the season and in the middle of the season as many as we've seen this year?
No, and here's why. because these teams were there were more conferences. It was spread out across more conferences, and so therefore you wouldn't have the schedules these guys are having week in and week out. The SEC and Big Ten schedules has both been brutal. Wouldn't you agree, Doug?
Yes, yes, it's been this has been something to watch. Just watching this year, I mean, this whole thing where one loss don't do you in, two losses don't do you in. You may still make the fucking playoffs. It's hard to wrap my brain around. Are you guys having trouble with
This
it?
has been a very unusual year. Absolutely has.
I don't know how a 3-loss team is going to get in for sure, though. I mean, I think it's
No,
going to give.
I didn't say 3 losses. I said 2 losses. But yeah, I
Two
mean, you're
losses,
right, though. I mean, we could end up in a situation where if there was a lot of parity and there wasn't many 2-loss teams, you could end up seeing a 3-loss team.
I was talking to Sean last night, and he brought up a really good thing. He says, how many teams that are in the top 25 right now that hadn't been in the top 25 since 1930?
Oh, shit. Okay, so Navy, Army.
Right.
Army's probably been in the top 25.
I don't know. I know Air
I've
Force
seen,
has.
You got
I've seen it.
Boise, you have Vanderbilt. It's crazy.
Hell
And
yeah.
that's because of the transfer portal. I really believe that.
Yeah, there's a lot of movement between conferences and the realignment, and people maybe not wanting to travel that would make it appealing to transfer. I mean, if I'm from Tempe, Arizona, and I want to stay somewhere in the Rockies to play football, and I made the mistake of signing back east because I thought, and now I don't get to play. I'd be like, well, hell, let's go back here. Maybe we can transfer to Nevada or to Boise State. See what I'm saying? And now you're back home, closer to the family can come to the games. There's aspects of this that that you got to look at. Is a lot of families want to see their kids play. If that's one of the reasons a player from Kentucky might sign with Notre Dame, the family can drive up there, but they might not consider signing with Cal. See what I'm saying? And
Uh-huh.
they because the fact that the family could afford to go to the game. Of course, we know all kinds of underhanded shit goes on. I've seen uh, I've seen whole big families of 30 people show up and they probably have a pot to piss in or win or throw it out. Somebody supported that, the boosters or whoever. If you was the running back at Georgia and you didn't have nothing, and 30 of your family members showed up across the country at the UCLA game in 1984. I'm sure they paid. Somebody paid for that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But today, in the day of NIL and the transfer portal, it may make it possible for teams that we didn't expect, or even out of conferences we didn't expect to get in the CFP.
Yeah.
And I really
Here
like
we are.
that.
We have a Mountain West team in Boise that very well could end up with that great running back in the CFP.
And you would have a service. You could have a service academy along with Notre Dame, another Group of 5 school, possibly even, which I don't think you'll have 2, but it's possible.
Well,
And like see teams that you didn't expect, such as possibly Vanderbilt. I'd love to see them beat Texas, guys. That would be historic.
Notre Dame's playing Army this week, so
No, Navy.
Navy, yeah.
But they also play Army, right? Notre Dame plays both Army and Navy.
Are you sure?
Yes, and then Army and Navy could play each other in the conference championship, and they also have to play each other in the Army Navy game. And the Army Navy game is after their conference championship, so it's possible that both Army and Navy could play Notre Dame. Whoever won that game
Navy.
would go because Notre Dame plays both Army and Navy this year. So
Hold on, let me look that up and make sure. Okay, so they definitely play Navy this week.
Yeah,
and yeah, you are dead on, Bob. They play Army on November 23rd.
I follow Notre Dame pretty heavy, man. So to me, they're one of the traditional powers. They're not regional to me, but they're almost regional to me. So I follow them pretty hard, man. And the whole aesthetics of this are beautiful. So if the Service Academies beat Notre Dame, then Notre Dame would be out of it. But if Notre Dame beats both of them, right, the scenario, which is it'd be okay. They could still go to the CFP.
Have a better record.
Well, they
All right, so-
should have a chance to be in the CFP though, because then they play in their conference championship most likely against each other. Because most likely Notre Dame and Army, not Notre Dame, but Army and Navy are both going to be 11-1 going into their conference championship, and whoever win that game, right, would look like they're ready to go to CFP, but they have to play each other again in the Army Navy game. So,
Wow.
so theoretically, both them teams could be either 11-1 or 11-2 going into the Army Navy game, and with a shot to go to the playoffs on the line. So this year's Army Navy game could be one of the most historic football games played in my lifetime.
You're right.
Well, you have Oregon at 7-0. You got Penn State 7-0. You have Iowa State 7-0, and Indiana 7-0. Boise's 5-1. Pittsburgh's 6-0. So you have still plenty of teams that are undefeated.
Oh yeah, well, if Pitt won out, that'd be very interesting. And then, so we at the beginning of the season, everybody was convinced that both the Big 10 and Big 12 would get four teams in at least into the CFP, which would leave 4 other slots. But now I'm not so convinced of that, even though I believe LSU can place Fuller, Vanderbilt can place Fuller, even Kentucky again could get lucky and place Fuller. Texas A&M could place Fuller. That's not we're not talking about. And I know.
Well, hold on now. A&M don't have to play Spoiler. I mean, this team could be in the fucking playoffs.
Right, exactly. But it'd be as Fuller to Texas, right? And so there's so many. Yes. So if they beat Texas, they could go to the SEC championship. Actually,
Wouldn't that be funny? Wouldn't it be funny if A&M knocks Texas out of the playoffs?
Oh, I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it.
I doubt it, but it's possible. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Texas goes to College Station this year.
Oh yeah, and it's the first time
a renewal of a fucking great rivalry that I really miss watching.
Absolutely, I can't wait to see it. I'm excited about it.
All right, so what do we got on the horizon? Well, Alabama plays Missouri this week. I think that's a toss-up. I know a lot of people are saying, "Oh no, Alabama's going to win out," and shit like that. But Missouri's definitely covering this line. The last that I've seen, Alabama's favored by 14, and that is really high for this team, the way this team's playing.
Oh yeah, I just don't see how that's a pretty big line, and they're at Columbia, aren't they?
No,
Tuscaloosa. They're at Tuscaloosa.
Yeah.
Still,
Missouri has a lot to show up to be.
This is an elimination game, and I'm really surprised. In my mind, Alabama's already been. In my mind, Alabama's already been eliminated because I don't think they can win at Tiger Stadium against LSU at night. But it hasn't happened yet, so anything could happen. But this is really an elimination game. Missouri needs one loss to get in. According to what I'm seeing, their schedule is not good enough to get in with 2 losses.
And I'll tell you what, don't bet on Oregon to be there at the end of the season.
I think it's a big game this weekend, I think, against Illinois.
Illinois goes to Oregon.
Yes. That could be interesting. Illinois played some hard-nosed football.
It could be. I don't see Illinois winning at Oregon, though. But I might be wrong. I might be wrong.
It's not the same team that I saw 2 years ago that they had power, they had speed, they had good wide receivers. They were a very well-balanced team. I don't see Oregon having that this year, but that's me. And
but who's going to get them? If Illinois don't get them, who gets them?
I don't know.
I don't even know what's left.
I have to take a look at their schedule.
Now, Washington and Indiana is an interesting game. Now, that's at Indiana, and Indiana's schedule's been pretty tough, but not like astronomically tough.
I just look at seeing any team can piss in someone's cereal bowl any Saturday.
Yes,
I just can't put any team to say they are the dominant team in football this year. I can't. I haven't seen it. It hasn't produced one.
Okay, so
Yeah.
real quick, Illinois goes to Oregon this week, and that's what Oregon does this week. Next week, number 1 Oregon goes to Ann Arbor to play the Michigan Wolverines.
Oh, they'll crush them utterly.
They might, but that's one of those deals where you never really know.
Game. And I don't they have to play Penn State too?
No. The next week they go to Maryland, and then sorry, Maryland goes to Oregon. I was wrong. And then Oregon goes to Wisconsin the week after that, and then of course November 30th, Washington visits Oregon.
Nice. I'll see a big game this weekend. How about LSU? Oh, my bad. I'm sorry.
I know they want to kick our ass. They ain't no. They're pissed at us.
It's all DeBoer's fault too, isn't it?
Huh?
It's DeBoer's fault too, isn't it?
Oh hell yeah!
I'd like to see Washington beat them. Anything that cause controversy at this point in the season, you know.
What were you saying before then, Bob?
I was saying we don't want to forget about LSU and A&M. That game is starting to look huge.
Oh, that's the game of the week. That's the game I've got for game of the week for this week's main episode.
Yeah. That one's going to be a knockout dragout. Yeah.
Sean don't believe that LSU can lose the rest of the regular season because Brian Kelly, that's how he somehow magically keeps his job alive by winning just enough games to not get fired, right?
So he don't think they're going to lose?
I don't think he's any chance that Brian Kelly is going to get fired at LSU at all.
No, I don't either.
No, sorry.
No, but that's what I'm saying. So he wins just enough games to hold on every year. Right now, A&M, they're both have lost one game. I think that LSU could survive that, but at Texas A&M, we're going to find out if A&M's.
We're going to find out if A&M is for real, are we not?
Yes.
Hey, Doug, can you look up what Auburn's schedule is finishing out?
Well, I can tell you right now, this week they're going to Kentucky.
Yeah.
Let me look them up.
And then they play. Then they play Vanderbilt, and then they play Louisiana Monroe, Texas A&M, and Alabama. So really, the possibilities that Auburn will win one more game on their schedule, and Saturday's a toss-up.
I mean, I think they'll definitely beat Louisiana Monroe.
But outside of
I don't know. So A&M goes to Auburn, so they got that puncher's chance because they're at home. Vanderbilt goes to Auburn. I think Auburn will beat Vanderbilt. I don't know why. The later you get in the year, the more injuries Vanderbilt gets, and they just don't have depth.
Right.
It always starts to catch up with them.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that don't happen. I mean, I'm really pulling for Vanderbilt. I pull for anybody versus Auburn, to be honest.
Yeah.
All right. So next week, we're going to have more doors, and there'll be more donkey balls bouncing, and that's all I got to say about that. Bruce, it was great.
Well, thank you. I enjoyed it tonight.
Thanks for joining us.
And I like the statement about donkey balls. And
all right, so one more hit song before we go, okay? Y'all listen to this one.
Your team sucks, donkey ball. Your team sucks, donkey ball. You're probably getting fired before the season's end. May even lose your wife and your asshole friend.
Your Team Sucks Donkey Balls is a presentation of Smacking Off the Podcast. Stream in every week for another victim as we kick them while they are down.